man right here, like the godfather of all the new staffers right here, man.
As Gilbert would say, better late than never, Mark.
Yeah. So this is Gilbert. I'm still going to read some of his bio so you guys know what he does. I follow him on Instagram. I see him again. He got me in here. We're on Promar together, and that's how he got me in here. Promar does our lobster and crab nets and gear like that. Tournament angler, licensed guide, longtime seminar speaker at Bass Pro Rancho on lobster hoop netting. Who loves lobster? Everybody, we all Valentine's Day is coming. Big lobsters, love them. Sponsored angler, ambassador for Hobie Fishing Team, Pure Fishing, Promar USA, and a longtime volunteer to teach at-risk youth fishing. Gilbert.
Yes.
Yes, man. You are the man. Welcome.
Yes, thank you.
So where do we start with that? Again, our motto is catch. That's, you know, for what we have is take a kid fishing and catch in memory. Who took you fishing the first time?
Of course, you know, my dad. My dad took me fishing. My Uncle Ronnie, legend in our family, he took us fishing. You know, growing up, we didn't have lots of money like most folks did, and we would fish ponds. Lake was where I kind of grew up at, fishing different narrows and stuff. And then I moved to the high desert when I was a teenager, and my parents would drop me off at Hesperia Lake or Mojave Narrows. And at that time, you could fish to college. Victor Valley College has a lake, and you fish the lake there. And then I lived across the street from the aqueduct, so I fished the aqueduct, and just you know, learning on my own. I was always a fan of all the bass anglers growing up, Bass Pro Shop growing up. Used to get the catalog. Never in my wildest dreams that I would think that I'd be sponsored by Bass Pro Shop or that I'd be fishing for Bass Pro Shop. So now what I'm doing is I'm part of an organization called the Halo Project as well. We take kids out fishing, inner city kids. We take them for tours in the store. So I get a little bit to give back to the kids.
Definitely a giver, man, that's for sure. My brother was the person that took me fishing. I grew up in a single home, was my brother, and he took me to the creeks. We started in the Sacramento River. We lived there a couple years, and I always tell the story when we were out one time on fishing for jack smelt on the pier, and he actually smacked me with the jack smelt, man. So that's kind of a story me and my brother always tell, and nobody was there to stop him, but at least he took me fishing. If he didn't take me fishing, I don't know who would help me out, so that's why I like to ask, because he's the one that started taking me fishing, so I give my brother a quick little plug.
Yeah, thank God for those people in our lives, right? That are there just to bridge the gap.
Yeah, my mom let me work on boats. She knew I love being on the water with my learning deficiencies of reading and stuff, and that's why I got to, you know, so my mom didn't let me come out and work on boats, independent study, and believe in me, let me chase my passion back then, I wouldn't be here today. So there's those people that are, you know, influential. So how did you go from the aqueducts into like the kayak thing? Because you're like a kayak guru now.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw a long-time kayak angler back there. My buddy Brian Sander was here in the store, and we're back in 2006, I was repping for Kuma, with the Kuma, and I was working shows and doing stuff like that, and I saved some money up. I was newly married and saved some money up, and I bought my first kayak, and I started hanging out with these guys, fishing, Dana Point, Newport, San Diego Bay, and mustered up enough strength to fish a tournament. And I mean, it was the worst tournament of my life. Didn't even weigh a fish. Didn't know what I was doing. But the next year, I just really put my heart and soul to the tournament trail, the kayak tournament trail. Back then, it was called the Plastic Navy Trail, and it was about 120 kayakers in the trail, the best of the best. And a lot of these guys are on boats now, fishing saltwater bass series, which I've done, saltwater bass series, SWBA series, and you know, I was hanging out with these guys. And in 2009, I was Angler of the Year for the event, yeah, and for the trail actually. And it just, I mean, I look back on it, and from 2006, all the work that I did, and at the time I was living in the high desert, and I was driving all the way to San Diego, man, just up in a kayak. And in 2009, becoming Angler of the Year, I started getting a lot of support from people who are starting to recognize who I was. And that's kind of when I started signing some bigger contracts with Hobie, Bass Pro Shop, Pure Fishing, and you know, different companies like that. Then I eventually signed on with Ram Trucks, and that's been a blessing for me because I do a lot of my community stuff with Ram, with the Halo Project, with Ram Trucks up there, Victorville Motors up in the high desert. So they've been a huge support of mine throughout the years, and I mean everybody on my jersey has been a huge support of mine. So just been super blessed over the years to be sponsored and supported by this company. So
I just want to take a second. Hey, Mark. Mark, can you check, just make sure the battery, I'd hate to, if this thing died, I'd check the battery, sorry. It's not blinking red.
I got a red light blinking on you.
The battery looks good. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut that in, but
You have another one with just solid red light, and then you got one to the right just blinking.
You got 2 bars.
2 bars is good?
Oh, there it is.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I would just say.
Oh, no worries, man. I get it. No worries. No, yeah. So yeah, so that's the deal with me. Super blessed over the years. And if I can pass on the blessing to other folks, I'm definitely going to make it happen. Like yourself, like you have a story to itself, right? I love your story.
Thanks, man.
We met at the PCH show last year and the Promar booth, and just overhearing what you do blessed me. And I think that a contact is always better than a contract, man. And I think that you with Mark and different people that meet throughout the industry over the years has been a blessing for me. So.
And it was a trip because, like, literally we got stuck in every piece of traffic down there from Ventura County to Orange County. We had about 45 minutes left of the show. Did we even go to the show, me and Vince? And it's one of those things where you have to show up, right? Like, we're already there, and then within like 45 minutes left of the show, just telling a story, Gilbert's like, hey man, I can get you on Bass Pro. And I said, you give me a Bass Pro, I'll sleep on the park. When they open the door in the morning, I'll be camped out right at the door.
It's funny because Kathy, like that week we were doing, and she was stressing to me, and we need some more community people. And I'm like, well, I know everybody in the industry. And then you came across, it's like, man, this is just like right in front of me. So it was perfect timing, man.
And I was riding the bike at the gym, and it's like, you know, the thing like when the memes, it's like Bass Pro's calling. And I remember seeing it on the bike, and I took a screenshot to share my story. And it was one of the coolest days of my life of Bass Pro Shops actually calling me. And it's, you know, you came through, man, and some people you remember for life, man. So you're adopted into the family. Go ahead, you know.
What you got, man? What you got?
Segue. Okay, I'll ask. Okay, so then how do you? Because if you guys see kayak fishermen, I stay in the Channel Islands Harbor. I don't go out past the break wall. But kayak anglers, and I've seen the video of you at Promar, dude, you're like loaded up with, you know, hoop nets on the front. You always think about safety and what's going to happen, and then you don't put yourself in a situation. But you're hardcore, man. Like the difference between a regular kayak that you see, but for what you do, the gear that you have, like what made you, you know, is that what you wanted? Because that's a challenge.
Well, kayak fishing is always a challenge. Like I said, I'm like a kind of extreme guy. Like, and I've had a boat, and I did the boat series, and the one thing that I didn't like about the boat was the gas prices, the registration, washing the boat. And I think the beautiful thing about a kayak is there's no registration, right? There's park it anywhere, you can throw it on the side of your house. And I'm in a Hobie, I'm with Hobie Kayak, so it's a pedal-driven kayak. So the effort that it takes you to walk around this store, you could be actually fishing at about 5.5 miles an hour. And so it's all pedal-driven, and I'm on the kayaks there, latest and greatest, and sit on top kayaks. They can hold up to 500 pounds and are super stable. And so over the years, I've gotten really comfortable with the kayaks. Back in the days, kayaks are really, you know, you could fall off of them, you know, and believe me, I've had clients flip kayaks and stuff, but I think that the technology, especially with the Hobie, technology is super great. And I fish, so to fish for Hobie, you gotta fish for a dealer. And I fish for Pure Water Sports in Dana Point. And so we have many kayaks in the water. If any folks that want to try kayak, Pure Water Sports will put you on a kayak for free if you want to try and demo it. That's our try before I buy policy, and you'll see how stable these kayaks are. But yes, I do load up my gear, 5 hoop nets, or if I'm fishing, 5 rods, fish finder, bait tank on the back, my lunch, everything. I do a lot of filming on my kayak, so I have multiple cameras on it, and I'm standing in it. I'm doing all this crazy stuff. People think I'm crazy in it.
Yeah,
There's a shark out there, you know. Of course you see sharks out there. It's the ocean, man. You're gonna see sharks out there, but they leave you alone most of the time.
Yeah, I tried. I went out kayaking in the middle by the safety part. I go with guys that have flipped it and lost lots of gear, you know. So again, watching your videos, I know that you do take the time to make sure that you're gonna catch the amount of fish and lobster. What is one of your best nights out there? Again, when I see your stuff geared up, because I know you do your due diligence. Is there a honey hole that you have, or is there a night that you're like, you know, again, Valentine's coming up, do you go get a lobster for the wife before Valentine and catch it yourself?
Well, with the Hernandez home, lobster is not very popular, as you can imagine, because there's a lot of lobster in the house, you know.
Lobster again? Oh my God.
I'm trying to catch a filet mignon in my lobster net right now. We eat a lot of lobster and we eat a lot of crab as well. But the kids, I have 4 boys. I was 16, and they're like, not lobster again, Dad. And I'm just like, come on, man, we're eating lobsters. But I would say the last guide I did, I took a client out, Dana Point, and we got on the water. Usually we get around 5:36, and we were literally back in the first 5 nets we pulled. We had a limit, and I was trying to convince him to stay out there. And we ended up throwing, so when you pull a lobster net, you pull it, you get your lobster, you throw the lobster net back out. So after the day, we set the pool, those 5 nets, so I was able to take 3 lobster home. It was kind of like ridiculous lobster hooping that night. And we were back at the dock with 10 lobster in like an hour and 20 minutes. And it's a great night. It's a great night for the client, it's a great night for myself. I mean, lobsters are like slot machines, man. Like, you throw a quarter in it, you're either gonna win or you're gonna strike out, you know? So, every night's different. I've been very blessed to at least get 1 lobster, you know, where a lot of people get 0. But over at Promo Ahi USA, we do a lot of safety videos, we do a lot of how-to, Lobster 101 videos. If you visit our Facebook site, Promo Ahi USA, you'll see a lot of videos that we do there with the kayak as well. And also you can visit me on my own site at rocketfishing.com. We just kicked off last night. We just showcased it last night. So rocketfishing.com, and that's rocket with an I, ROCKIT, fishing.com. And you'll see our videos there as well. And if you want to get a hold of us.
We use a lot of the flat Promar nets at the kid fishing days that we do, where the fishing is slow. We do a lot of it. That's one of the coolest parts. We have an aquarium now. We put some of the smaller crabs in there. We use it for species identification. We have a debate on the baits that we use. You know, is there something that some people swear by? Everything from cat food to chicken to salmon heads to mackerel to, I think, you know, the different cages where they just stuff sardines in there. Do you have a preference, something that you recommend to people when it comes to?
What I tell people is a fresher bait is the best bait. And a lot of these commercial guys, what they're using is they're using the mussels and the scallops from the pylons. That's what lobsters eat. They eat what's on the pylons. They eat the algae, they eat that crustacean. And so a lot of these guys, I was just on a trip a few weeks ago where they're overbaiting and they're putting a lot of effort into the bait and not really paying attention more to the surroundings. And what I tell people,
that's good. That's really good.
What I tell people is that the lobsters have the same characteristic as a calico bass. They need structure, they need food, and they need current. Okay, so the food's gonna be there. They're gonna eat. You know, they're a scavenger. Okay, so to me, and then why I feel I'm more successful, and to each to their own, I always say this, is that I'm focusing more on the structure, the current, the food situation, right, and where we're gonna get these lobsters. And I'm also more worried about moon phase and tide swings. A lot of guys, they focus more on bait and salmon heads and cat, like everything that you said. I get these questions all the time as far as bait selection. But I would say the fresher the bait, the better. Salmon heads, anything you get, it's going to be fresher the better. I like sabiki, my own bait, with one of our sabiki rods at Ahi, Promo Ahi USA, and making my own bait there and cutting it on the boat or cutting it prior. And then I like to soak it in bite on. Of course, Biden has been a big supporter of mine over the years as well, Tony at Biden. And so I like to soak it, and I always say meal prep. You know, for those who work out, I meal prep all my bait cages. Only 2, because if I'm going to be on a kayak hooping, I don't ever cut on a kayak. It's just a safety thing I have. If I'm on a boat, I'll cut on a boat, but I won't cut on a kayak. So what I'll do is I'll prep my bait prior, so make sure you at home have 2 freezers, one for the wife and one for you.
100%.
Because everything you get a steak, it's going to smell like lobster bait. And so I use those times to meal prep, and then I soak everything in bite on, and it just works great for me.
So I'll say my last part is, look at a piece of meat, you know, it's been in the back of the freezer. You don't want to eat it like a lobster, like how we eat that old hamburger meat that's in there and it's kind of purple. So that's how I think that the fresh, you know, the fresher the better. If you look at it like, oh, that's freezer burn.
Right? Ghosted bait. Right. So when bait gets ghosted, it has no more scent. And so that's where we use the bite on to come on and recharges that bait. And so that's why I tell people whenever they're lobster hooping, that if your bait gets ghosted on the water, instead of like cutting and doing all that stuff, just throw it. We have a cloth. You can throw a cloth in there and it'll put more scent in the water because the lobsters are going to eat. They're just looking for that scent. So you don't really need to rebait. You just need to rescent. And that's where I think a lot of lobster fishermen can benefit from different scents they play with instead of cutting bait up all night and stuffing cages on their lawn.
That's good stuff. I'm gonna use that for our hooping. Well, thanks, Gilbert. Looks like we got some more.
Yeah, no problem.
Got some more coming. Thanks, Gilbert, a lot. And thanks for getting me here today, man.
Yeah, for sure. Also, too, guys, I'll be back for the Spring Classic. I'll be here the 18th. I gotta look at this so I don't remember. 18th, 25th, and the 26th. I'll be talking calico bass that day as well. And if you guys want, visit me at my website at rocketfishing.com or my social media at GilRocket. Appreciate you guys. Thanks, Kev.
Yeah, man. Thank you.